This training course is designed to teach you about the hazards of hot work and how to prevent injury and fires. Be sure you completely understand the manufacturer's equipment procedures before starting any hot work. Things you will learn in this course include: what is hot work, hazards of hot work, controlling hazards, hot work permits, and care of hot work equipment. Hot work is any work that produces high heat or sparks, such as welding, cutting, brazing, or grinding. The health hazards involved in hot work include fumes, noise, heat, and high-intensity light. The physical hazards involved with hot work include fire, explosion, electrical shock, skin burns, and flying particles. Engineering controls are used to provide designed protection for you during hot work. These controls include ventilation, special equipment, fire suppression systems, and welding shields that are designed to protect you from physical and health hazards as well as provide fire protection. Welding fumes and grinding dust may contain harmful chemicals. Ventilation is needed to draw away harmful fumes from your breathing zone. Ventilation may be permanently installed, such as in a designated hot work area or portable equipment, which is used in other areas. Use only the specific equipment that has been designed for the type of hot work you are doing. Before each use, inspect all cylinders, hoses, regulators, tools, and electrical connections. Fire suppression equipment includes both installed sprinkler systems and portable fire extinguishers. Fire protection is required for all hot work, and sprinkler systems must be in good working order. Hot work curtains are either permanently installed, such as in designated hot work areas, or are portable for work in non-hot work areas. The purpose is to prevent escape of both high-intensity light and hot work slag, sparks, and particles into unprotected areas. Administrative controls are used to ensure safe hot work operations. These include employee training, designated hot work areas, and approved work procedures. Authorized hot work areas are designed to eliminate all fire hazards. These areas are also provided with installed ventilation to keep fumes away from your breathing zone. Procedures have been developed to include inspection of work areas and equipment before starting any hot work. Other procedures include using fire watches and authorization for hot work. Personal protective equipment controls provide protection for your eyes and face, your body, respiratory system, and hearing during hot work operations. Eye protection is required for anyone in the hot work area. Eye protection prevents flying particles and high-intensity light from causing eye damage. Body protection is provided by special thick, flame-resistant hot work clothing that protects from heat and flying particles. Respiratory protection is needed when installed or portable ventilation does not prevent fumes from entering your breathing zone. Hearing protection is needed if the type of hot work produces high noise or there is a high level of noise in the work area from equipment or other operations. Pure oxygen is highly reactive with other substances and can cause explosions or flash fires if not controlled properly. Be sure to keep oil and grease away from oxygen gas cylinders, valves, and hoses. If your hands, gloves, or clothing are oily, do not handle oxygen gas cylinders. Fire watches are workers who are assigned to monitor hot work areas. They are required when hot work is performed in locations where other than a minor fire might develop, and when combustible material is closer than 35 feet, or where large amounts of combustibles are more than 35 feet away but are easily ignited by sparks. Fire watches are also required when there is exposed combustible material in adjacent areas including spaces in walls or floors, or if there is combustible material on the opposite side of metal partitions, walls, ceilings, or roofs. Fire watch duties include having fire extinguishers available, knowing how to sound a fire alarm, watching for fires in all exposed areas, extinguishing fires if they start, and staying in the hot work area for at least 30 minutes after hot work has been completed to ensure hot material does not cause a fire. Welding, cutting, or grinding in a confined space can be very hazardous. Be aware of and take precautions for the limited work space, hazardous atmospheres, slippery surfaces, flammable materials, and toxic fumes. Be sure to perform atmospheric testing for oxygen deficiency and for toxic and flammable or combustible gases before and during hot work in confined spaces. If hot work inside the space is interrupted, disconnect power to arc welding or cutting units and remove the electrode from holder. Turn off torch valves and shut off the gas supply to gas welding or cutting units at a point outside. Remove the torch and hose from the space if possible. When working in confined spaces, such as tanks or bins, wear respiratory protection and safety harnesses attached to a lifeline. A helper should tend the lifeline to observe the welder and initiate emergency rescue procedures. Cylinders for welding operations should never enter confined spaces. Proper work practices will also provide a margin of safety during hot work operations. Check connectors and regulators and use the correct regulators and hoses. Never open valves until regulators are drained of gas and pressure adjusting devices have been released. Point gas cylinder outlets away from people and sources of ignition when opening valves. Open valves slowly. On valves without hand wheels, use only supplier recommended wrenches. Other safety precautions include keeping flammable materials at least 35 feet away from hot work area, covering all flammable materials that cannot be moved, covering all cracks, gaps, windows, doorways to prevent sparks, heat, or slag from traveling, wetting combustible floors by covering with damp sand or protected by fire shields. For your safety, hot work operations are not allowed if sprinklers are not working, near ignitable material, on used drums, tanks, or barrels unless cleaned inside and out, on pipes that have hazardous or flammable materials. Be sure all hollow spaces, cavities, or containers have been vented to permit the escape of air or gases before preheating, cutting, or welding. Before starting hot work, purge systems with inert gas to remove flammable gases. Hot work permits are required for all hot work outside designated hot work areas. These permits help ensure proper safety precautions have been met. Hot work permits require checks for flammable material, extinguishers, fire watches, ventilation, welding shields, equipment inspection, combustible gases, and confined space safety. Safe hot work operations depend on you. Getting the job done safely should always be your first consideration. In all hot work operations, be sure to take time to evaluate the job and use proper safety precautions.